Welcome, motherfuckers. Hello. There's some new people, huh? Interesting, isn't it? A couple new people. I don't know why. I need to make some disclaimers, though. Before I even start, I need to tell people I need to tell whoever what the hell's going on here as much as I possibly can, even though there are times where even I don't know what's going on in this channel. Let me just lay it out like this. I am doing a reading of Paradise Lost, right? I'm doing that reading for study purposes. I'm recording myself doing it because that's the only way I'll ever get anything done anymore. Because I'm lazy and I'll just sit and do nothing for a long period of time. And I'm very content with doing that. In fact, I enjoy doing absolutely nothing. I like looking at all these books and not reading any of them. So, I have to force myself to do these things. But the main reason for all of this, or that philosophy reading, which I haven't gotten back to, god damn it, is merely to study for what I'm working on, which is the book. Which is the whole purpose of all of this. This whole thing is wrapped around the creation of a fucking novel, a series, an anthology, a fucking, I don't even know yet. I don't know. Depends on how many books there are. Because the story and all the happenings in it will mirror aspects of mine and some of the other guys' lives that are involved in it. Mostly by our experiences or our beliefs or our persuasions, I guess. I don't know, like political, religious, this and that. How we see the world. It's a capturing of that. It's like an essence capturing and placed inside of a fantasy world, if you can understand that. Now, I'm well aware, I'm very well aware that I say things very oddly. I'm very well aware that I come across as a bit daft sometimes, or off it, or whatever the words are. Not up with it, or something. Yeah, see, I'm doing it again. I notice sometimes I come across as bizarre, or eccentric. And I don't want to, but that's just who I am. I really sought for the longest time to make the whole channel as seriously as I could. And its intent was to spread word, I guess you could say, or to expose the book that I'm working on. Now, in that attempt, it has become a channel of like self-discovery and searching through self. Now, I don't know if that's for everybody. Because I don't really have any crazy agendas, like it wasn't really my intent to set out and be a YouTuber or anything like that. I merely wanted to use this as a platform to promote the book. And I was hoping for the longest time, like, oh, it'll be really quiet, and no one will notice this. And then when I release the book, publish it and all that shit, and people get to see it, this channel will, like, kind of be mentioned, and then all of a sudden you can go into the channel, and there you go. So that's the whole point that I created with it. But at the same time, I use the channel, as kind of a driving force to myself. I remember saying that, I love the Beatles a lot, or the Beach Boys, which are this is the musical way I can explain it. And I loved them so much that I liked listening to their songs deconstructed, and I loved listening to them create those songs. The studio sessions of them just sitting down and trying to figure out the songs and everything. And I thought, well, This channel can be that. If someone does enjoy the book, they can see the deconstruction and they can see how it came to be. But it started to morph from that into me becoming something, or me sitting down and using this channel to realize how stupid I really am. Because that's what I've learned so far since I've created this channel. Is I learned how, like, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I mean that in a profound way, but I've learned how very stupid I am. You know what I mean? I didn't realize what I didn't know, and I didn't realize what I should have known, and why I need to know, and all this and that. Like, it was a big thing for me, you know. Like, you get really comfy in your box here, and then all of a sudden you get like a wake-up call, or you get like a realization, either self or externally, that maybe you don't know what you need to know. Maybe you aren't as smart as you think you are. It was a very good reality check. And a lot of the writing in and of itself helped me realize that too. Just humbled me so very deeply. Not letting me get too full of myself. Because I don't know if it's the writer or the artistic way of self-loathing and self-hatred to make you become better. I don't really know if that's the ticket. But that's kind of what it's become. Also, I'm still getting over being sick. We're on the home stretch, though. Now, I'm trying to just disclaim everything, because I don't even know what people are expecting. I suspect there are people that saw the Paradise Lost, just like the philosophy one, because when I released those two, that's when subscriptions started happening. And I'm like, oh fuck, that's not what this is about. I have to quell that. To say, like, no, I'm not the channel. It's like, I read books and stuff, like, poorly. You know what I mean? Like, come on. It's just an experimental thing that I'm just doing, and I don't know why I'm doing it. The whole purpose behind the Paradise Lost videos, it's going to be the whole reading of the book, which, you know, I got to get down to the second, whatever. Don't talk about that. Is we're searching, we're doing some research, because we're taking aspects of mythology and theology, and we're kind of contorting it to our, like, you take the prism and you change it until the light reflects what you want it to reflect. That's what we're trying to do. It's like, I want the idea of theology and mythology. I'm trying to take that into how I think the world works, and I'm trying to morph it, if that makes any sense. Or, like, through real life theology and mythology, I'm seeking to unravel the mysteries in my own mind so that I may divulge what I see and how I think this stuff might work. Then I can use that template in the book and say, those are the old gods in the book, and those are, you know, whatever it may be. This is the creation. This is how the universe works and all that. I've done some videos on it. It's all still really raw, but it's getting there. But that's the whole purpose of the Searching for the Old Gods series, as I'm trying to find my gods, right? Now, I don't know if it takes away from anything or it adds to it, but the whole purpose of, you know, the real life searching and studying is to make a fantasy world more believable. And not quite in a sense of, how should I put it? I'm not doing that necessarily in a sense of making it more entertaining, but merely more enveloping, or more as a reflective object, or like some sort of mirror into the soul of the writer, I guess. In my book, I have these high races, which are, I guess they're high races, I mean, that's what I'm terming them as right now, known as the Titans and the Aeon. And they originally reflected the Titans and the Greek pantheon. It's like it's basically born from that, and it's kind of led me on this long search. And so I was looking at Celtic gods, and I was looking at Phoenician gods, and Assyrian, and a few others and stuff, to try to unravel what is a god and the source of it. And I ended up kind of getting lost in what a god even is, and what higher beings are, and what are heroes, and what are demigods, and what are the fucking, how does the hierarchy work, and what exactly is creation. And I kind of went to a wormhole. And so the whole search in the Paradise Lost is the beginning of our biblical search for what gods are. And we started with Paradise Lost because I don't remember why. And like I said, we're going to move to the Bible and then the New Testament. I fucking despise the fact that I even wanted to do this. Oh my god, I don't want to... Now I gotta fucking commit to this shit. Oh, jeez. You know, I hate working. So, like, anytime I realize I'm actually working is when I don't want to do it. So, that's the whole idea behind Paradise Lost and why I'm doing that. The channel's true purpose is built around a fantasy story, we'll say. Because like I said, I don't know how many books it's going to be. At least 4, but I don't know if there's going to be more or not. So, it's bigger than a trilogy, but whatever. That's the whole idea of it. And the reason that it's gotten so very personal, so like the Inner Thoughts series, is because this sounds very dumb, but I didn't realize the story mirrored my own life so much. I didn't realize I put myself so much into it. So the Inner Thoughts series is me talking to a camera in the way I talk to myself and how I think. I'll do that shit in my drive, or when I'm sitting by myself, I'll do those talks. So I decided, like, well, why not record yourself talking? Because I've always imagined, in a weird way, that I've had an audience every time I have a conversation. It sounds mad, I know. But anytime I would sit and talk to myself for a long time, I always assumed there was an audience there. And so I just thought, well, why not just record it? Stream of consciousness talking. Fuck it. That is the aspect of my own growth and realization. And the fact now that I can go back and listen to myself, which I do from time to time, has really opened up the way I see myself. So it's like the channel... Damn, it's getting hard to talk. The channel is mostly for me. if you can understand that. Everything I'm doing here is to understand myself. And I end up trying to gather a bunch of fucking things around me. And you know, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like I've created some sort of prison at times, or some sort of room. I mean, literally. I mean, all around me, there's maps that I made up, timelines, there's a fucking filing cabinet full of shit in the book, there are multitudes of dictionaries and entomology books, I have notes everywhere, I have concept drawings of how the dimensions work, I have notes right here full of names of different places, all the Anaku tribes, all the names of the Titans, the names of the gods, how the alphabet works, the years that every character was born, maps with the names of cities on them and shit. Here's the materials in the world and what they resemble in real life. These are the type of trees that exist in the world. Here's a calendar that we've created. Here are the counties of this one place. The list goes on. Here's concept drawings of armor and weaponry. Then in the back corner I have my writing area where I do a lot of my writing. Then I have an area for entertainment, which is like music and stuff. I'll just show it. I have the fucking cassette player with some really cool radio dramas that I'm listening to. I have the records that I listen to with the record player. A little bit of bass playing. my writing corner, and then I have all these fucking books that I'm seeking to goddamn do stuff with. I'm gonna read them. I read a few of them, but I got myself a little bit too busy. Then I have all the maps, like I said. Those are all the fucking... That's just one fragment of family ancestry of one person. And then we have our concept of the stories. Like I said, I just have some drawings. This is all that important data that I use. I'd look over here and... What's the name of that Wananaku tribe that lives here? What's the name of that one Aeon that lives there? What are the fucking... What are they representing and how do the months work? And like I said, I have my other things. Timeline. There's more set on the other side. This filing cabinet, I just have fucking countless amounts of information. Like this one's just all the people in the book. This one's just every place I mentioned. This is how the magic works. And it's like, they're not all full, but they're getting there. The point is, everything I do is wrapped around the creation of this world. This little made-up world that started back in 2013 of just, wouldn't that be cool? All of that got me here. And for the longest time, I would envelop myself into the book. I didn't even show. There's a bunch of flags up here of each country and all their flags. I spent a hell of a lot of fucking time on all this. A fuck of a lot of time. There's like countless hours, years have been into the creation of this. And not only that, but there are two other men that are like, yeah, okay, I'll help you out. And they have countless fucking years of the shit they put into it. One 8 years and the one since 2013 as well. We have uncovered an immense amount of shit to figure out. And because of that, you have to go to sources. You can only look at yourself deep, like go deep enough to a certain point, and you can unravel the idea of how your consciousness works and in the way that you interact with society. And you can kind of see that without any kind of outside sources. And so what you do is you can take that and you put that in characters. That's that part. But it came to the idea of, again, reading of Paradise Lost, the reading of philosophy, or reading of historical books, real life historical ones that I don't record myself reading. The one by Diodorus Siculus, I read like 4 of his books already. The reasoning for that is getting an understanding of society, the way society works and how it's always worked, and looking at it in an unbiased way. That was the point of all this real life research. Because you get so caught up and you realize so much that there is so much bias to everything, especially nowadays. Like, it's hard to research anything because you just get like, the Civil War was about slavery, that's it. And you're just like, no, it wasn't. That's not the only reason. Like, that's not why it started. That was nearing like what, the midway point or something. Like finally Lincoln's like, I guess I'll make it about emancipation. Like, he debated it, dumbass. Like, don't, whatever. The thought of shit like that, so you have to expand your research. You have to go finding different avenues or looking at different sources, and you end up realizing like, wow, you kind of have to go to the old sources because all the new ones are fucking biased. At least with the old sources, they were biased, but there was different perspectives or whatever it is. Depends on what aspect of history we're looking at. So that's been the fucking segment of looking in real life and trying to put it inside the book. Because there's two things that I mean, well, there's more than two things. There's a shit ton of things that go on when it comes to, as I noticed, the capturing of the world. So my main character, at least in the first couple of books, is Eris. Or Eoras is how you really say his name, but we're not going to get into the semantics of it. Eoras Nowak Eatak is his full name. He is the vocal point. He is the what looks out into the world, right? Forgive me, I'm not smart enough to know terminology. I don't even know what a noun and a verb is half the time. Anyway, he's the one who looks out into the world, and you get to see most of the perspective from him. There's some other people that'll get perspective thoughts, but mostly from his point of view, right? The narration comes from within him. Now, the aspect of the way he looks at the world is key, because that's how you get a sense of who he is. It's how he interacts with the world. Well, how the fuck do you do that when there's nothing going on in the world? So what do you have to do? Well, you have to make up a bunch of fucking things. And you have to make up countries, you have to make up borders, religions, you have to make up sects and factions and sub-factions and all this shit and that shit. And everyone, you have to give them their own agenda. That's not, you don't tell the reader the good intentions of everybody. You tell the reader only what you want the main character to know so he can unravel it slowly, right? Common thing. But every character, every faction, every government, and every whatever the fuck group of people have their own agenda, and they all think it's the right thing. Well, going into each one of those things, you have to make it the most right. So when I sat here and I was thinking of the Serpentine Order, which I made a video about, I didn't give you their perspective necessarily. I mostly gave you what a normal person would probably think of them if they just looked at them on purpose. Or when I talk about the Aevans, or if I talk about, that's what the Monarchs in Adrana, or if I talk about, I don't know, the Asuk, or the Aeon, or the Titans. You have to go into their own, each one of their own belief system, and how it was formed, and why it was formed, and how, what is it reacting to, and what is it not wanting, what is it trying to change, you know? And in doing that, you have to look around at every aspect. You have to study mankind in all their facets, whether that's people around you in your own personal world or through history. Well, it just so happens that in conjunction with that, I myself am trying to unravel the aspect on multiple different levels. So the Paradise Lost level, which is what I consider the high story, which is gods and goddesses and, you know, demigods and higher beings. We're reading Paradise Lost. We're gaining a perspective of the story of Paradise Lost. Now, we just got done talking about who John Milton was and what was going on in his time, so we have this human level, but we have to go into that and find in the subhuman level, in this writing that happened in, what, the 1660s or something, when this was first published. We have to interpret from within his mind the words that he created to invoke an image. An image that's wrapped up in what is considered a religious viewpoint. The Puritan thing. We still don't know if he was or wasn't. But we have to unravel the way he looks at how the gods work, and Satan, you know, the angels and all that shit. We're unraveling that because we believe, I believe, the fucking channel, that deep inside of man's consciousness is the truth of everything. It's like there's a key, but you have to invoke it, kind of like an evocation. You have to stumble upon it with the right words and the right thoughts at the right exact time. How do I know that? Because I do a lot of stream of consciousness work. That's like my main, that's the one thing that I am confident in. It's like I can give you some stream of consciousness, really into like cool stuff. Give me a topic, I can dive into the sub levels of it, and we can pull out from it a lot. That's the one thing I'm very confident in. So from that point, with all this reading and with all this research that we're doing, which this is going to be the next video, we're going to invoke things. We're going to see if certain names said at certain times, or certain ideas, or just like, it's like a sentence, will just strike something. Either in that moment or much later, to open up your mind to finally start connecting the dots. And then in that, you can unravel your own world. That's the whole point of the channel. Now it is. I mean, it's always evolving. So I just thought it would be in my best interest to lay that out for people and say, this is exactly what I'm doing here. You know, yes, I'm kind of goofy about things. I'm always joking around and being ridiculous. That's just who I am. That's how I've coped in life, right? But inside of that, I'm trying to search for self, and I'm trying to search for truth. The two hardest things to find, if I've discovered. Everything else is easy to find. You could find out a lie better than you could find out the fucking truth. You know, or it's easier to know nothing than it is to know yourself. So, I wanted to just make that a fucking thing. And just say straight up, this is what the channel's about. This is what we're doing. We're kind of everywhere sometimes. Why do I say we? I am everywhere a lot. I have a hard time keeping myself focused on things. I have problems with my depression and I have zero will. Or I fucking just don't want to do anything anymore and I want to just close off and become a nothing again. I fight that a lot. So it's hard to stay consistent, but I am trying. I'm going to stay committed to the Paradise Lost reading. We're going to stay committed to our research of that. I'm out of my element in it, but it's good for me to be out of my element every once in a while. We have plenty more to do. I have plenty more books to go through back here. I have more maps to create. I have more art to make. I gotta draw these characters and shit. There's a lot of shit to do. Book 1's finished, but it needs more editing. Better editing. And I gotta start writing the other stories. So there's a lot of shit to get ahead of. But, you know, the idea of this channel is to let you in, whoever it may be. Apparently 25 people. I don't know how that works. When I subscribe to something, that means I want to watch it every time it comes out. I don't just subscribe to something to do that. So in my world, if I'm subscribing to a channel, that means I'm watching every fucking video because I'm enjoying this content from this person. Now they made a couple cool videos I like. So I feel like it's good to deter people away if they aren't here for the right reasons. Like, I'm going to lay it out what it really is. You know what I mean? In saying that, we'll just continue on the journey. Oh, sorry. It's hard to breathe sometimes. We'll continue on the journey. We'll discover just how everything is working in our minds and how we can discover it through the books and how we can interpret that into the society and then the realm that we're creating inside of our little fantasy world. So with that, we'll call this one channel update, I guess. I don't know. Just to kind of get your attention, like, yeah, look, motherfucker. Yeah, that's it. So we shall see what comes next.